Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Kit.
Welcome to Starry Time,
Asterism's edition.
where stars plus lines equal stories.
With an asterisk.
In these episodes, we'll explore ideas, concepts, or people that didn't make it into the main show, or that we just want to talk about more.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about Caroline Herschel and comets. As with most of our asterism episodes, we're not going to get super detailed, but we will post more links and information about Caroline Herschel on our socials when this episode comes out. You can find us at Storytime Pod on the Universiton server of Mastodon, and there'll be a link in the show notes to our socials.
Caroline Lucretia Herschel was born on March 16th, 1750, in Hanover, Germany. Her father was an oboe player and led a band. Her father seemed invested in Caroline having an education, but given the time, her mother was opposed and felt Caroline should only be taught to do household tasks, especially when her older and only other surviving sister married and had left the home.
Her mother, Anna, seems to be really a piece of work. So she basically just wanted Caroline around to do housework because she was the only daughter left in the house. Not cute.
Real Cinderella stepmom type of vibes here.
That's right.
It was tough for Caroline, and things got worse before they got better. Caroline contracted typhus at the age of 10, and she was very ill. And this illness ended up stunting her growth and causing her to lose vision in her left eye. She also contracted smallpox as a child and was badly scarred because of it. As a result, she stopped growing at 4'3", and her mother basically believed she'd never marry and should resign herself to being, at best, a household servant.
Yeah, her mom really seemed to just want to keep her in the house and basically make it impossible for her to earn an independent living. Even if Caroline wasn't to be married, she could have learned other things like learning French or doing more advanced housework, including sewing, and that might have made it possible for her to become a governess or get other kinds of work outside the house. But her mother also forbade that.
Mom really, really, really needed help around the house,
I
according
guess.
to her own imagination.
Right.
When Caroline Herschel's father died, it did seem like her brothers knew that this wasn't a great situation, and they probably couldn't leave Caroline with their mother. So they wound up inviting her to Bath, England, where they were working.
Once in Bath, she lived and took care of her brother William's home, so she's still doing some household labor. Um, and at this time, William Herschel, who's quite famous, was actually teaching music, and he taught Caroline how to sing and dance and play the harpsichord.
Once you get out of Anna's overbearing shadow, Caroline's basically a genius. She is busy in Bath.
Definitely. But she would only sing when William was the conductor, so she wouldn't sing for anybody else.
Love that for Caroline. A little ornery, but she knows what she likes, and she's been through a lot, so I can see if she's a little bit reserved.
Definitely. So around the 1770s, her brother William kind of just lost interest in music and became very interested in astronomy.
And there goes Caroline's budding music career.
Yeah.
But she did start helping him with research and wound up doing research of her own. By the 1780s, William was appointed as the court astronomer for King George III, and Caroline was earning her own wages for assisting him.
She lived until the age of 97. She died in January of 1848. She outlived her brother William by 26 years, mentored his son John Herschel, who was also a very notable astronomer of that time.
Let's just do a quick laundry list of her astronomical accomplishments throughout her life. First, she was the first woman to formally discover a comet.
She discovered a total of 8 comets between 1786 and 1797, 5 of which had never ever been documented before.
She discovered a nebula, not documented in the Messier catalog, and independently identified 2 others.
She also published an expanded and corrected version of Flamsteed's work of the Flamsteed designation, which we've mentioned in other episodes, and that's basically just another catalog of stars similar to the Bayer designations.
After her brother William died, she also reorganized his catalogs into a book.
And that work earned her a gold medal from the Royal Astronomical Society, and she was the first woman to receive that accolade from the Royal Astronomical Society.
And to that end, she was one of the two women actually accepted to this Royal Astronomical Society.
And she was also the first woman to win the gold medal of the Prussian Academy of the Sciences. So lots of accomplishments.
So take that, Anna Herschel. Huh?
Hmm.
Now let's talk a little bit about the comets, Kit.
There's a few big questions we're going to tackle today about comets. So the first one is just what are they? What are comets?
Comets are frozen dust, rock, gas, and ice snowballs that orbit the sun. Although they look small from here on Earth, full, non fragmented comets are usually between about half a mile and 6 miles across.
Yeah, but they can get really, really big. So, for example, Comet BB, which stands for Bernardinelli Bernstein, was 62 miles across.
That's huge!
Yeah.
And comets are comprised of four key parts. First, they have a nucleus. That's their solid frozen core, and we tend to measure that in diameters. Second is the coma, which is the gas dust vapor cloud around the nucleus. Third is the dust tail, which I bet you can guess what it is. It's exactly what it sounds like. And finally, an ion tail, which is a trail of plasma caused by the solar wind.
The dust tail is also caused by solar radiation and influenced by the comet's orbit, so it's usually seen curving behind the comet. And dust tails are usually somewhere between 600,000 to 6 million miles long.
That's a lot, very long, very, very long.
And the plasma tail, which is usually blue in color due to the presence of carbon monoxide ions, generally points away from the sun and are around 100 million miles long.
All right, so now let's get into the difference between comets and asteroids. Asteroids are more rocky or metallic, compared with the comet, which, like we said before, is mostly ice. As for meteoroids, they're either small pieces of either asteroids or comets, so they could be from either. But once they enter into our atmosphere, we call them meteors or shooting stars.
Our next questions are related. So, where do comets come from and how do we go about finding them?
Well, where comets come from depends on, guess what? The type of comets. There are different types of comets. So now that we know what they are, I can tell you that some of them visit on a relatively short interval, every 200 years. And those ones are believed to come from the Kuiper Belt.
And the Kuiper Belt is located out beyond Jordan's very favorite planet, Neptune, and is a sort of donut shaped ring of stellar objects, including asteroids, dwarf planets, and our friend Pluto.
Poor, poor Pluto. A demotion, to be sure.
It is tough to be Pluto, but the Kuiper Belt ranges from 30 to 55 AU from the sun. It's similar to the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars, but much, much more massive and expansive. Although Pluto was discovered in 1930, and there's been widespread hypothesizing that there are many other Plutos out there, in 1992 was when the first direct evidence of the Kuiper Belt was discovered. There's so much more we could talk about with it, but we'll just leave it there from now. Some comets come from there.
Save it for a future pod.
Yeah, one day we'll run out of constellations.
So these short-range comets, they come from the Kuiper Belt as a result of interplay of the various fragments of objects and the gravity, of course, of Neptune. The long-period comets, well, they come from the Oort Cloud.
So the Oort cloud is really interesting because it's hypothesized to be out beyond our friend Pluto in the Kuiper belt. occupying a spherical space around our solar system. The inner edge is hypothesized to be between 2 and 5,000 AU from the sun, and the outer edge of this sphere is estimated to be extending between 10,000 and 100 AU from the sun.
That's gigantic.
Yeah.
I mean, at its farthest point, Pluto is only 50 astronomical units away. Alpha Centauri, that's 277,000 astronomical units away. But the outer edge of the Oort Cloud, that's very far out there.
Yeah, so we're talking about a really vast distance here. Voyager 1, which was launched in September of 1977, is only around 169 AU away. Hasn't even reached the Oort cloud yet. We do know that the Oort cloud is comprised of mostly icy planetesimals scattered due to the gravity of when the planets formed 4.6 billion years ago. And we do have evidence of a comet, a recent comet called the Siding Spring Comet that was discovered in January of 2013. It came from the Oort cloud. It passed Mars at a distance of around 87,000 miles in October of 2014. And we're not going to see this comet again for 740,000 years because it's originating from the Oort cloud.
It's all right. If you're around in 740,000 years, be on the lookout. Sighting springs on their way back. There's also been recent evidence from July 1st, 2025, of a comet from outside of our solar system as well. This comet is being called the Three-Eye Atlas, and it's being followed closely.
Yeah, and we'll definitely need to do an episode on interstellar objects that have been discovered to date in a future asterism.
We keep discovering new cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kit. Final comet question. Can you give me an exact count? How many comets are there?
Yeah, so there's a lot of potential comets, right? Just given the vast number of objects in the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud, and that says nothing about interstellar space. But according to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, there are 4,034 detected comets, including comet fragments.
That's an exact number.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I trusted JPL. They make those awesome visions of the future posters that inspired Space Jam, so they must be legit.
I think that's the best way we could evaluate whether or not media that we consume is viable. Is it in any way related to Space Jam? That's a good critical.
Has it inspired a great work of art? Yes.
Comets are also designated into 5 categories when they get identified. They are P for periodic, which have orbits under those 200 years that have been documented at least twice. C for non-periodic, which is for comets with longer orbits that we've only seen once. Perhaps they'll one day become P comets. D for lost or disintegrated comets. I think that one's obvious. X for uncertain orbits, and that's usually like a historical comet where it's been documented somewhere, but we don't have more precise measurements. And as of 2017, we also have A for comets that turned out that they weren't comets, but they were actually minor planets.
I like that. We can make an oops.
Yeah. And then we also have our final classification of comets, which all relates to this idea of orbits for starting in 2017, an I classification for interstellar objects, including interstellar comets.
Thank you for joining us today for this asterism on Caroline Herschel and comets.
This has been Kit
And Jordan.
Sisters who love stars and stories.
And we'll see you next time
On Starry Time.